Change your life in 3 days with this mindset. 3 days. That's all it takes to shift the direction of your life if you're willing to shift the direction of your mind. People think transformation requires years of struggle, decades of waiting, or some miracle moment where everything suddenly makes sense. But the truth is far simpler, far more empowering. Change happens the moment you decide to stop negotiating with your fears and start negotiating with your potential. You don't need a new year, a new month, or a new phase of life. You need 3 days of radical honesty, fearless intention, and unshakable commitment to the version of yourself you've been avoiding for too long. On the first day, you challenge every belief that has kept you small, every lie you've told yourself about who you are and what you deserve. You look in the mirror and confront the truth. Most of your limitations live in your mind, not in your reality. You've been holding yourself back because of stories written by people who were afraid to live boldly themselves. So you inherited their fears, their doubts, their comfort zones. You accepted their expectations as your ceiling. But the moment you decide to break that ceiling, everything changes. Day 1 is not about acting. It's about awakening. It's about realizing that you are bigger than the excuses that have become your identity. It's about recognizing that the life you dream of is not somewhere far away. It is waiting behind a door you've been too hesitant to open. On the second day, you stop allowing the world to define you. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop apologizing for wanting more. Too often, we live our lives in a way that guarantees approval but sacrifices our power. We silence our ideas, dim our shine, and pretend we're okay with ordinary when extraordinary lives inside us. But day 2 demands courage, the courage to stand up for your dreams even when no one else understands them. The courage to trust your own voice even when the world is loud with opinions. The courage to fail forward instead of staying stuck. You learn that the people who question your ambition are usually the ones who quit on theirs. And that the world cannot celebrate a version of you that you never gave yourself permission to become, so day 2 becomes the day you reclaim your narrative. You show up for yourself with a confidence you've never allowed before. You take actions that align with your future, not your past. By the 3rd day, something powerful begins to shift. It's not magic, it's momentum. You start to feel the difference between living intentionally and living automatically. You realize that the habits you accept shape the life you experience, and suddenly you stop tolerating things that drain you, break you, or keep you stagnant. You begin to protect your time like it matters. You begin to treat your dreams like they're real. You begin to show up in rooms like you belong there because deep down you know you do. Day 3 is where transformation becomes visible. Not to the world, but to you. You feel yourself stepping into a mindset that no longer negotiates with mediocrity, a mindset that refuses to let fear drive, a mindset that believes deeply, unapologetically, and relentlessly in who you can become. But let's be clear, this mindset is not about perfection. It's not about pretending life will always be smooth, easy, or predictable. It's about choosing resilience over resignation. It's about recognizing that life will challenge you, sometimes brutally, but you will challenge it back with even more force. You understand that pain shapes strength, rejection redirects purpose, and setbacks build character. With this mindset, you stop seeing obstacles as signs to quit and start seeing them as proof that you're moving forward. You realize that every version of you that existed before today was preparing you for the version you're stepping into now. 3 days may sound small, but small doesn't mean insignificant. Think about how long it took for you to doubt yourself. Seconds. Think about how quickly fear can creep in. Moments. Think about how rapidly one decision can change your entire direction. Instantly. Transformation doesn't require time. It requires intention. It requires a decision so powerful that your old life cannot survive beside it. A decision that says, this is who I am now and I'm done playing small. In these 3 days, you learn to trust the process even when it feels uncomfortable. Growth is never gentle. It shakes you, it pulls you, it stretches you beyond the familiar and forces you to face versions of yourself you've avoided. But once you've tasted the strength hidden inside you, you never want to go back. You stop letting fear of judgment dictate your choices. You stop letting past mistakes define your identity. You stop letting the opinions of people who don't carry your burdens decide your future. You start choosing yourself with a conviction that feels almost revolutionary. You begin to realize that the world isn't changed by people who stay silent, safe, or small. It's changed by people who dare to believe they can change themselves. People who carry a fire that nothing can extinguish. People who treat their dreams as obligations, not fantasies. People who are willing to be misunderstood in the pursuit of something meaningful. And that's what this mindset creates. A fire, a purpose, a clarity so sharp that it cuts through doubt like it never existed. Every great transformation begins with a mindset shift. Before success becomes your reality, it becomes your story, your belief, your inner narrative. Change your mindset and you change your energy. Change your energy and you change your actions. Change your actions and you change your life. These 3 days are just the beginning. A spark that awakens the version of you that the world needs to meet. And once that version shows up, there is no going back. You understand that you were never meant to live quietly. You were meant to grow, to rise, to evolve, to become more than what the world expects. You were meant to walk into your life like you own every room you enter. You were meant to fight for the future you want, even when it feels far away. You were meant to believe in your worth so deeply that settling becomes impossible. And it all begins when you decide that 3 days is enough time to stop living on autopilot and start living with purpose. Enough time to silence the inner critic that has lied to you for years. Enough time to build a mindset so powerful that nothing, not doubt, not fear, not failure, can take it away from you. Enough time to build a mindset so powerful that nothing, not doubt, not fear, not failure, can take it away from you. Because once you understand your own power, once you recognize the strength you've been walking past every day without noticing, you start to live differently. You stop waiting for permission to evolve. You stop asking the world if you're allowed to grow. You simply rise. You rise with a quiet confidence that doesn't need validation. You rise with a self-belief that doesn't rely on applause. You rise with the awareness that everything you've overcome has already proved you capable of becoming more. And that's when you realize something life-changing. You were never lacking potential. You were lacking awareness of it. You weren't weak, you were simply buried under expectations, worries, and voices that were never yours. You weren't lost. You were just disconnected from the version of yourself that has been waiting patiently for you to return. The mindset shift you experienced in those 3 days is not temporary, it is a reunion, a homecoming, a rediscovery of who you were always meant to be before the world taught you fear, before people handed you their insecurities, before life convinced you that dreams were fragile. Now, with this mindset, you start seeing patterns you never noticed. You notice how often you gave power to things that didn't deserve it, how often you allowed small moments to steal big dreams, how often you minimize your brilliance because someone else didn't understand it. But now you see it clearly. And clarity is a gift that changes everything. When your mind is clear, your path becomes clear. When your path is clear, your purpose becomes louder. When your purpose becomes louder, excuses melt, distractions fade, and you become unstoppable. With this new awareness, your relationship with failure shifts. You stop fearing failure like it's a monster waiting to destroy you. You start treating it like a mentor. Failure becomes feedback, direction, redirection. You understand that the only reason failure feels painful is because it pushes you out of the comfortable spaces you've outgrown. And instead of resisting that discomfort, you begin welcoming it. Because discomfort means growth. It means you're moving. It means you're not willing to remain who you were yesterday. The moment you stop running from failure, failure stops chasing you. Then something beautiful happens. You start honoring your own journey. You stop comparing your life to others. You stop measuring your progress against timelines built for someone else's story. You stop envying the success of people who simply believed in themselves before you did. You realize that comparison is a thief that steals joy from the present and hope from the future. Instead, you begin acknowledging every step you've taken, every moment you stood back up, every time you kept going, even when the world doubted you. You treat your journey with the respect it deserves. And because of that, your standards rise. You stop settling for half effort, half love, half respect, half belief. You stop accepting relationships that drain you, opportunities that shrink you, environments that stunt you. You stop giving the world discounts on your value. You carry yourself differently because you've discovered the difference between humility and self-neglect. You can be humble without making yourself small. You can be kind without abandoning your boundaries. You can be generous without giving away the parts of you that you need to grow. People around you may not understand the transformation. Some will admire it, some will question it, some will feel threatened by it. But none of that concerns you anymore. Their reactions do not define your evolution. The only thing that matters is that you are no longer living in ways that betray your own potential. You are choosing yourself, your peace, your growth, your future, and that choice is more powerful than the approval of 1,000 people. Slowly, your habits start to align with your vision. You stop doing things that are convenient and start doing things that are necessary. You wake up with intention instead of excuses. You speak kindly to yourself instead of tearing yourself down. You feed your mind with ambition instead of fear. You invest in your growth instead of your comfort. You start acting like the person you want to become instead of the person you used to be. And that shift in behavior creates a shift in destiny. Your inner voice becomes your ally instead of your enemy. It no longer whispers doubts, it whispers possibilities. It no longer reminds you of your flaws, it reminds you of your progress. It no longer tells you what could go wrong, it tells you what could go right. When your inner voice changes, your outer world follows. Because the world reflects the conversations you have with yourself. Speak strength, and you attract strength. Speak value, and you attract opportunities. Speak belief, and you attract progress. You begin to understand the power of intention. You realize that you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So you work on becoming disciplined, becoming resilient, becoming focused, becoming worthy in your own eyes. Becoming the person who is ready for the blessings they've been asking for. When you elevate your mindset, you elevate your frequency, and suddenly things that once felt impossible begin to feel inevitable. You also learn to embrace solitude, not as loneliness, but as preparation. You recognize that solitude is where transformation begins, where you hear your own thoughts clearly, where you reconnect with your purpose, where you make decisions that aren't influenced by noise. Solitude becomes sacred. It becomes the space where you refine your vision before introducing it to the world. You stop fearing being alone because you've learned how powerful you are when you stand with yourself. As you continue growing, your resilience becomes your superpower. You start handling life differently. Challenges don't break you, they reveal you. Pressure doesn't crush you, it shapes you. Obstacles don't stop you, they sharpen you. You learn to face every situation with the belief that you can outgrow it, outlearn it, outlast it. That no matter how difficult the path becomes, you have something within you that is harder, stronger, and more determined. You begin to set boundaries, not to push people away, but to protect the version of yourself you are becoming. You realize that not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone has the maturity to understand your dreams. Not everyone has the heart to support your growth. And that's okay. You stop forcing connections. You stop begging for loyalty. You stop explaining your worth. You choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and purpose over popularity. Opportunities begin to open because you are finally aligned with them. The world responds differently when you show up with confidence. You notice doors that were always there but you never saw because your mindset wasn't ready. You realize that life was never withholding anything from you. You were simply not in a place to receive it. Now you are. Now you're SP. Irit, your energy your belief system are all speaking the same language, readiness. With this mindset, your dreams stop feeling like fantasies and start feeling like plans. You no longer wait to feel motivated. You create motivation through action. You no longer wait for the right moment. You build the moment by showing up. You no longer wait for guarantees. You trust yourself enough to take risks. Every day becomes a step. Every step becomes momentum. And momentum becomes transformation. And somewhere in the middle of this journey, you realize that the person you were 3 days ago couldn't even imagine the strength you feel now, the clarity you hold now, the belief you carry now. You've changed not accidentally, not gradually, but intentionally. You chose to rise when you could have stayed the same. You chose growth over comfort. You chose purpose over excuses. And that choice has rewritten your entire direction. And that choice has rewritten your entire direction. It has shifted something deep within you, something that was waiting for this exact moment to wake up. You start to feel as if life is responding to you in a new language, one you didn't know you could speak, a language built on intention, courage, discipline, and an unwavering belief that you are capable of far more than you ever allowed yourself to imagine. You look at your reflection and realize you're not trying to become someone new, you are remembering someone you always were, but had forgotten under the weight of expectations and doubt. With this newfound inner strength, you begin to notice how differently you handle challenges that once intimidated you. The things that used to overwhelm your mind no longer hold the same power. You meet uncertainty with curiosity instead of fear. You understand that every struggle carries a message. Every setback holds a lesson. Every closed door redirects you toward something more aligned with your purpose. Your mindset begins to filter life through growth instead of defeat. That shift alone becomes your greatest weapon. You start making decisions with clarity, not confusion. You start saying yes to things that expand you and no to things that shrink you. You stop participating in conversations that drain your spirit. You stop entertaining doubts that don't belong to you. You stop holding on to situations that no longer serve your evolution. And with every decision, you build a life that reflects strength instead of survival, intention instead of habit, purpose instead of passivity. People may look at you and think you changed overnight, but you know this transformation was built moment by moment, thought by thought, decision by decision. It wasn't sudden, it was intentional. It was the result of 3 days of radical honesty, followed by a commitment you made to yourself to never again betray your potential by living small. You now carry an energy that commands respect because it radiates from a place of self-respect. Your heart grows stronger too. You stop fearing vulnerability because you understand that vulnerability is not weakness, it is truth. You allow yourself to feel deeply, to care openly, to love fiercely, without losing yourself in the process. You understand that strength is not found in emotional walls, but in emotional clarity. You can hold compassion without accepting disrespect. You can love without losing your identity. You can care without breaking yourself to keep others whole. That emotional clarity allows you to heal parts of yourself you've ignored for too long. You start forgiving yourself for the times you didn't know better, for the decisions you made from fear, for the dreams you delayed because you doubted your worth. You stop punishing yourself for being human. You begin treating yourself with the same tenderness you've always offered everyone else. Healing becomes a priority, not because you were broken, but because you deserve peace. As you heal, you become aware of how much your environment influences your mindset, so you begin curating your surroundings intentionally. You gravitate toward people who inspire you, challenge you, support you, and celebrate your growth. You distance yourself from those who drain your energy, sabotage your progress, or make you question your worth. You understand that the right people elevate you, while the wrong people exhaust you, and you choose elevation without hesitation. Your dreams start to evolve too. They grow bigger, bolder, more aligned with the person you are becoming. You begin to set goals that once scared you. You stretch beyond comfort zones that once limited you. You take steps that feel unfamiliar because you are no longer interested in repeating the past. You are building a future that reflects your strength. You pursue your aspirations with purpose instead of fear, with courage instead of excuses, and with every step forward, you build evidence. Evidence that you can do hard things. Evidence that your discipline is stronger than your distractions. Evidence that your growth is not temporary, it's intentional. Evidence that you are capable of everything you once thought was impossible. This evidence becomes the foundation of your confidence. It becomes the reason you no longer second-guess yourself. You have seen yourself rise. You have seen yourself transform. You have seen yourself do the work. And now you trust yourself in ways you never have before. You also begin to understand the power of slowing down. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent, subtle, internal. Some days your progress is measured in massive leaps, and other days it's measured in simply choosing not to give up. You learn to honor be. You learn to appreciate the quiet moments, the reflective pauses, the stillness that allows you to hear your own intuition clearly. You realize that progress is not always visible, but it's always happening. As your mindset strengthens, you stop seeking validation because you no longer need it to feel worthy. You do things because they align with your purpose, not because they impress others. You choose authenticity over approval. You choose realness over popularity. You choose honesty over convenience. The more authentic you become, the lighter you feel, because you are no longer carrying the weight of pretending. Your confidence evolves too. It becomes something deeper than appearance, louder than doubt, stronger than insecurity. Confidence becomes your natural state, not because you believe you're perfect, but because you finally understand your value. You stop shrinking in rooms where you belong. You stop questioning the space you take up. You stop apologizing for walking in your power. Your presence becomes intentional. Your voice becomes steady. Your energy becomes unforgettable. You start embracing challenges with a level of bravery you've never known before. You pursue opportunities that once scared you. You speak up when you used to stay silent. You take risks that once felt impossible. And with each risk, you discover new layers of your own strength. You realize that comfort was never your friend. It was your cage. Now you choose discomfort because discomfort is growth in disguise. Your mindset becomes unshakable. You handle setbacks with patience, losses with grace, uncertainty with wisdom. You no longer crumble under pressure. Instead, pressure brings out the fighter in you. You no longer fear the unknown. Instead, the unknown excites you because it holds possibilities. You no longer cling to the past. Instead, you thank it for its lessons and move forward with purpose. You begin attracting opportunities, connections, and moments that match your new energy, not by begging, chasing, or forcing, but simply by being aligned. The world responds to alignment. When you know who you are, the right things find you. The right people recognize you. The right doors open for you. You stop asking whether you're ready. You realize you've been ready for a long time. This version of you, strong, clear-minded, resilient, grounded, is not temporary. It is the result of choosing yourself repeatedly. It is the result of 3 days that changed your direction, followed by the courage to keep going. Now, you are stepping into a life that reflects your worth. A life built with intention, discipline, clarity, and belief. A life where you no longer live according to fear, but according to purpose. A life that finally feels like yours. A life that finally feels like yours. And as you step deeper into this life, you begin to understand that the greatest gift you ever gave yourself was the permission to evolve. You realize now that growth was never about becoming someone different, but about peeling away the layers of doubt, fear, hesitation, and uncertainty that never belonged to you. It feels like your soul is finally breathing freely again. Like you've stepped out of a shadow you didn't even know you were standing in. Like you've reclaimed something sacred that you lost along the way, your own power. With each passing day, your vision becomes sharper. You no